Hi, my name is Dan LaBelle. I'm an electrician. I do troubleshooting with plug-ins, light switches, circuit breakers, sometimes outlets, plug-ins have loose connections, and like in a lot of the mobile homes, the wires are just pushed into these little holes that connect the wire, and there's just a little spring clip that rubs against the wire as you push it in, and if you try to pull it out, it's like an arrowhead, it hooks, or a fish hook. It hooks, kind of, it pushes against it so that the wire won't pull back out. And those will go bad a lot of times, especially if the people are using a lot of plug-in electric heaters. There's mobile homes, especially when you have a double wide mobile. When they install it, the side of the mobile home that has the kitchen and the laundry and all that has most of the wiring. The heavier wiring goes to the kitchen, water heater, maybe the washer dryer, heating possibly. That a lot of times that wiring is on the side where the electrical panel is installed. That is part of that section of the mobile home. The other half of the mobile home has probably just some outlets, lightweight outlets that are not heavy duty, and they're more for like computers and TVs and lamps and stuff like that don't use a lot of power. Not like electric heaters or appliances. And so that the mobile home, when it's installed, the worker goes underneath and connects some wires that connect the two halves together. And usually those are light duty circuits, not the heavy stuff. The heavy appliances are not, they're not on that side, so that there's just a couple of small circuits that get connected under the mobile home. So a lot of times when the other half of the mobile home that is on the opposite side of the electrical panel, those connections underneath can go bad or come loose, and make it so that that half of the mobile home, portions of it, would go out. And so a lot of times I'll go, if there's a problem on that side and I can't find it, anything obvious in the plugs and switches and light fixtures, I'll go underneath the trailer at the far end, on the utility end, where the electrical panel and the water pipes all go, that end of the mobile home. I'll sometimes take the skirting off. Right there where the joint is at the back end, I call that the back end where the utilities are. I'll undo it, the skirting, if I can, or I may have to crawl from a crawl hole to that part. And it's a good idea to turn off all the power to the mobile home when you go under there to check those wiring, because if you work on those wires and you're laying on the ground, it's a potential for electrocution. So it's better to just make sure the power's all off, that there's no power going to those wires. And usually you'll find some kind of wiring splice there at the back underneath the mobile home where the joint is, where the two halves come together. And then there's another thing that can happen is near where the water pipe comes in, there's an outlet usually, and it's sometimes part of the circuit in the mobile home, where not too far from where the electrical panel would be. Near where the water comes into the mobile home, there's an outlet there underneath that is for heat tape, for really cold regions. You wrap this heating tape that plugs in, and when the temperature goes below freezing, that heat tape comes on and heats the water pipe to keep it from freezing. So whenever the temperature is below 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius, the that outlet is for heating the water pipe with a thermostat that comes on when it gets really cold. So that's a problem I've run into, where the certain parts of that section of the mobile home don't work. Could be lights and plug-ins. It could be that that plug has gone bad because a lot of times there's moisture, there's dampness under there, and that plug goes bad, the connections corrode. So, and if it's not a super cold region, a lot of people don't use that outlet. A lot of times a person can go under there, make sure the power is turned off, go under there and just take the outlet, the plug out, and just connect the wires. You know, if they're corroded or whatever, trim them and scrape the corrosion off of the wires and splice them together and put a blank cover there. And that's often repaired problems in mobile homes. In regular houses, a breaker could be tripped. A breaker could have be in a tripped, and a person could still push the thing to the on position, but it's not really on because the handle is loose. A breaker has to be reset if it's tripped, and the way it gets reset is to push it in the off position really hard, and it'll usually click, and then when you move it, it'll have some spring to it, and then usually when you push it to on position, it'll spring to the on position. You know, it'll click in the on position. If it doesn't click when you slide it to the on position, it's probably still tripped. The handle is just loose. So it has to be turned off really hard. Like, you know, sometimes I even use the back end of a screwdriver to push it off. Or, you know, if it's on that side or that side. Depends which way off and on is. Anyway, you push it really hard and it should kind of click, and then when you feel the handle, it should feel like stiffer, and have a kind of a click when it pushes on. Anyway, a couple of things. All wirings should be in an outlet box or in a enclosure, so that there's a cover on all wiring that is connected. Should be inside of a box and enclosed. There's some special conditions with underground wires. There's special splice kits with shrink tubing and stuff like that. But as a rule, in a house, all wiring should be, all regular house wiring, telephone wiring and those kind of things, low voltage computer stuff, wiring, that doesn't need to be enclosed. But the house wiring, 120 volts, 240 volts, you know, that's American, you know, wiring. Anyway, a few things that help make things work. Anyway, thanks for listening.